So everyone says that UPSC exam is the toughest exam in the country, and they are not wrong. But why is it the toughest exam? Is it because of its vast syllabus? Absolutely not. Is it because this exam requires a lot of intelligence? No. Is it because this exam requires a lot of hard work, more than other exams? Absolutely incorrect. Other exams also require hard work. Then why is this exam the toughest exam? Well, it's because of two reasons. Number one, for preparing for UPSC, you have to spend a long time. This long time is very difficult to bear, right? 1 year or even more than 1 year. And reason number two is that in this exam, there are a lot of boring subjects that you have to cover. Now, let me get this straight. I'm sure some of you find some of the subjects in UPSC syllabus very interesting. Of course you do. But every aspirant has some favorite subjects. It can be polity, economics, geography, history, anything. But they also have some boring subjects, subjects that they hate, subjects that they feel like torture. Every aspirant has favorite subjects and torturous subjects. Now, to get through these torturous subjects is very difficult. You have to be extremely motivated to bear this torture. But the problem is reason number one. It's very easy to be motivated for a short period of time, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But to be constantly motivated for more than 1 year is really difficult. How can you do it? How is it possible to stay constantly motivated to get through this torture of vast syllabus and difficult subjects, torturous subjects? Well, what if I told you that there is a technique? In fact, there are 4 techniques, 4 hacks, which are based on neuroscience, brain science, through which you can stay constantly motivated throughout your UPSC journey. Constantly motivated, okay? These 4 brain hacks will serve you really well if you apply them in your daily life and will make you feel constantly motivated. You will be always on the go. So what are these 4 neuroscience-based hacks, techniques? Let's talk about them. So the first technique that I'm going to talk about is called law of negative manifestation. Now I know it might sound weird. Why? Because you have heard about positive manifestation. So many sports people, successful business people have talked about positive manifestation. That they manifested that they would become victorious and they achieved that victory. Positive manifestation works for these people. But the thing is that many people have complained that positive manifestation doesn't work for them. This is just some spiritual mumbo jumbo, okay, that you manifest that you will become victorious and the universe conspires to make you victorious. This might be some spiritual mumbo jumbo, okay? Over here, we are going to talk about science, neuroscience. So if we talk about science, does positive manifestation work? Well, science says that it can work, it cannot work. How does it work basically? Let me explain. The thing is that when you set a goal, and it's a long-term goal, it requires 1 year, 1.5 years of preparation, like UPSC examination. Positive manifestation works at the start of the goal. So when you are going to start your UPSC preparation, positive manifestation works over there. Look, you all must have experienced this, okay? When you saw an interview of a UPSC ranker, you all got motivated. You manifested yourself in his or her shoes. You manifested yourself securing a UPSC rank. You became extremely motivated and you started your UPSC journey. So in the beginning of your goal, long-term goal, positive manifestation works to motivate you to begin preparing for that goal, right? But the thing is that to achieve that long-term goal, you have to do boring activities every day, day in and day out. You'll start your day by studying, then practice some MCQs, write boring answers, then study again. And these boring activities you have to do day in and day out. Over here, positive manifestation doesn't work at all. It might have worked in the initial days, first 15 days or 1 month, but when you have to do boring activities repeatedly for 1 year, positive manifestation doesn't work, and that's what science says. Science says that to continue doing boring activities so that eventually you become victorious, you have to bring in a little bit of fear, a little bit of trauma. Okay, now what do I mean by that? You see, fear, we generally are scared of fear, okay? But a little amount of fear can be useful if we know how to use it. And this is where negative manifestation comes in. I'll explain this with an example. Suppose you manifested that you will become victorious in this UPSC examination. You started your preparation, but there is still time in achieving that manifestation, right? And in that time, you have to do boring activities. Now your brain thinks that I'm doing these boring activities, yet what I manifested is not coming true. There is still time in it. Then you start to doubt yourself. What if I don't become victorious? What if this doesn't work? You start having doubts on your own positive manifestation. right? This happens with everyone. In this situation, you have to bring in fear. You have to bring in negative manifestation. I'll tell you how. You see, the thing is that your brain has a panic button. It's called amygdala. Once that panic button is pressed, well, it releases a set of chemicals that springs you into action. You start working towards everything. That fear motivates you to work hard. And every day you have to do negative manifestation. Now, how to do it? In the morning when you wake up, you have a list of daily targets in front of you. Close your eyes and think that if you don't achieve these targets, well, you will not secure a rank, and then bad things will happen to you. Okay, you must have thought about it. If you do not secure a rank, well, situation is not going to be that good. Maybe family will put more pressure, friends will laugh at you, your ego will be hurt. All these consequences you must have thought about. Think about them again in the morning. If you do not achieve these targets that you have listed down, well, you won't achieve your goal. Some amount of fear will creep in. Some amount of amygdala panic button will be pressed. Chemicals would be released. And then you will start working towards your daily targets. Okay? You will achieve those daily targets. You will be more motivated towards achieving those daily targets because you will feel that if I don't, well, all my dreams and desires would come to an end. Today is the day I have to achieve it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are saying that you can't prepare in this constant fear, okay? Constant negative mindset, well, you won't achieve your goal. The thing is that you won't be in constant negative mindset. You will begin your day with this negative mindset, but because of this negative mindset, you will be more motivated to achieve your goals. And once, before night, before sleeping, once you have achieved your goal, there will be a sense of victory that yes, now you are one step closer to your goal. Because you're one step closer to your goal, well, your brain will release another set of chemicals. Your brain will say that yes, you are close to victory. It will release a lot of dopamine. That will make you more motivated and you will feel happy. You will sleep really well at night. And if you continue this for 365 days or even more than that, well, this small amount of fear every day will actually allow you to achieve this positive manifestation. So some amount of negative manifestation along with positive manifestation, at least that's what neuroscience says, will really make you successful. Now, the second technique is called law of specificity. Now, this law is taught to so many project managers. It is taught in business schools. It is taught to MBA professionals. And this is important, okay? Well, law of specificity says that if you are going to set a goal, make sure that it is broken down into small, measurable, tangible targets. Don't make your goal vague. Make it small, measurable, tangible, that it can be measured once you achieve it. The thing is that let's suppose you have set yourself a 45-day goal, that in next 45 days, you will cover polity and you will master polity. That's your goal, okay? Now what will happen in these next 45 days? You have set a vague goal. And once you set a vague goal, your brain is not clear what is the goal. And therefore, your brain will not muster resources and muster motivation to achieve that goal. Because it is vague, because your brain cannot see the finish line, well, you won't be motivated to achieve that goal. Instead, what you need to do is that you need to break this goal down of covering polity in 45 days into specific daily targets. For example, on day 1, I will cover union and its territories. Then I will practice 10 MCQs from it. Then I will practice 5 PYQs from it. And then I will write 1 mains practice question. This is your goal for day 1. Then day 2, I will cover citizenship, 10 MCQs, 5 PYQs, 1 mains practice question. So on and so forth till day 45. Now you have broken down this goal into specific measurable targets. Once you do that, now your brain is clear what to do. And therefore, it will motivate you to achieve these targets. And one more thing, you know, there is a chemical in our brain, a hormone in our brain called dopamine. The more dopamine is released into your brain, the more motivated you are. Now it is said that dopamine is released once you are victorious. The more victorious you are, the more motivated you are. You must have seen this around you also. People who lose a lot, well, they are dejected, depressed. But people who win a lot, they are motivated to do anything. Maybe you have won a cricket match, but that makes you motivated to even study harder. It spills over to other areas of your life. Okay? Dopamine works in that way. Now, if you have broken down your polity goal into specific targets, once you achieve day 1 targets, dopamine will be released. You will be more motivated to achieve the targets of day 2. And once day 2 is done, you will be more motivated to do day 3 and so on and so forth. So break down your goals into specific targets. This is known as law of specificity. Everyone does it. Business professionals do it. Sportsmen do it. Well, successful UPSC aspirants do it. The third technique is called power of MCQs. Look, let's accept this. Studying is an extremely boring activity. It's really boring. Maybe some subjects you find interesting and you enjoy studying them, but studying them for an exam is really boring. And what about boring subjects, difficult subjects, torturous subjects? It is really boring to study them. And when you are performing a boring activity, your brain conspires against you. It constantly makes you see distractions. Your brain is programmed in that way. Now, how to go through these boring activities? The only one way to do boring activities without allowing your brain to distract is motivation. Now, how to bring in this motivation? Remember dopamine? We will use dopamine to keep you motivated, and then you will perform these boring activities of studying. Now, how to do so? Okay, here we will utilize the power of MCQs. Remember, I just said that the more victorious you are, the more dopamine is released. Now, listen to me very carefully. Okay, whatever you are studying, once you have completed a chapter, practice at least 5 to 10 MCQs from it. And I'll explain how MCQs are connected to this motivational hormone called dopamine. Okay, look, let's suppose you covered one chapter of economics, and then you start practicing 10 MCQs from it. Now, if you have scored well in those 10 MCQs, let's suppose you got 8 MCQs out of 10 correct, well, you will feel nice. You will feel motivated. More dopamine would be released. You would feel that whatever you just did, well, you were successful in that. You have mastered this chapter of economics. Now more dopamine is released. Now you will be more motivated to study another chapter, right? So whatever is the result, if you are solving all MCQs correct or you are not even solving one MCQ correct, whatever be the result, practice MCQs along with every chapter. Okay? You see, I have a course for UPSC called the Gurukul course. In that, I make sure that I make my students practice MCQs with every chapter. I designed that Gurukul course with my 10 years of experience, keeping all these neuroscientific techniques in mind, right? And in that, I have made sure that MCQs are practiced regularly. That's why if you are following my current affairs channel also, current affairs series also, you must have seen that I also give MCQs along with my current affairs lectures on YouTube. I know the power of MCQs. It is really important. It keeps you motivated. Okay? Plus, it tests your knowledge also. So you get motivation. You test your knowledge. Whatever you have studied, it gets validated if you have solved all the MCQs. Okay? Whatever you have studied is correct. And third, you get the much needed MCQ practice, which will come in really handy for your prelims examination. So practice MCQs along with everything you study. Everything. And the last but not the least, this technique is called the Feynman technique because it was actually given by a famous physicist who taught at Harvard University. His name was Richard Feynman. And what was his technique? Well, before that, I'll tell you that you must have seen that many students who are well preparing for one particular exam generally have discussion groups. This is really useful. Why? I'll tell you. And Richard Feynman explains beautifully about it. Well, the thing is that when you have studied something and when you explain it to someone, what happens is that you get more clarity because the person in front of you might ask counter questions. So you should have more clarity to explain even the minutest of concepts in whatever you have studied. Explaining what you have studied gives you more clarity. That is what Richard Feynman says. That is why these discussion groups, if they stay on track, if they are not distracted, okay? Generally, when friends get together, well, they don't talk about studying, they talk about other things. But if you stay focused, if you genuinely have discussions, well, this technique really works because what you have studied, you get more clarity when you explain it. Okay? And a famous physicist is saying this. But what about motivation? Does this motivate you as well? Well, it does. And I'll tell you how. You see, what happens is that, let's suppose you studied something and in the evenings, you are explaining it to a group of friends. Now, when you are explaining something to a group of friends, those friends are listening to you and you are explaining something to them. Now, what happens in your brain? Well, your brain creates a hierarchy of sorts. Okay? You might not create that hierarchy, but your brain creates that hierarchy. That I am explaining this to them. Therefore, these people are inferior and I am superior. Now, you might not think that you are superior, okay? But your brain subconsciously makes that linkage. That I am superior and they are inferior in this particular topic because they are gathering knowledge from me. I am giving this knowledge to them. So a power equation is formed for that brief 1 or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And it forms subconsciously in your brain. Now that power equation, that hierarchy generates an emotional response. It boosts your ego. And what does your brain do next? Well, what it does is that it sees that your ego got boosted. You felt superior in this particular instance. And why did you feel superior? Because you studied this subject well. You studied this topic well. Because you have knowledge about this subject, that's why you are being made to feel superior. Now, this connection will be made in your brain. And then more dopamine will be released. You would feel that studying makes me feel superior. Now, this will be a virtuous cycle and you will be more motivated to study. So Feynman technique doesn't just give you clarity on the subject that you are studying. It also creates a power equation where you are superior and others are inferior. And that's a good thing to boost dopamine, the motivation hormone. Now, I'm not saying everyone should have discussion group. What about those people who are studying alone? Okay, you are studying alone. You don't have discussion groups. You are the only one in your friend circle who is preparing for UPSC. Then what to do? Well, then find someone, a friend who is unaware of UPSC, your younger brother or sister, anyone who is not connected with UPSC, and whatever you have studied in the morning, explain it to them. Force them to sit down and explain it to them. And if they are not listening and you have no one, well, imagine a friend. After you have finished studying, imagine that you have a person in front of you and you are explaining something on a piece of paper and pen. Okay? You're explaining that thing to them. Imagine. But do explain whatever you have studied. Explanation gives you more clarity. It basically makes you more motivated. Explain it to an imaginary friend, your younger brother or sister, or your group of friends, anyone, but do explain it. So these are the 4 things that you have to do every day, daily, day in and day out. Now, they might appear simple right now, but if you will do this for 1 month, I'm just asking 1 month from you. Just do this for 1 month. Apply all these 4 techniques for 1 month and you will see the difference yourself. You would say that, thank you, sir. You explained these things to me. Now I feel more motivated to study. Let me tell this to you. These techniques work. No matter how simple they appear right now, they definitely work. Apply them. Okay? And by the way, in case you need any help with UPSC, okay, I have a course called UPSC Gurukul course. All these techniques plus many more are built into that course. I have designed that course in such a way that, well, you are constantly motivated and you have a brighter chance of succeeding in this exam. So anyone who wants to inquire about UPSC Gurukul course, well, WhatsApp us on this number that is given in the comment section. All right. But the bottom line is apply these 4 techniques. They will really work.